Okay, here's an example that we're going to use the square root property. And I got to tell you, the square root property is a really slick property. It does not work perfectly for all quadratics because you have to be in vertex form here. But if you have a quadratic in vertex form, it is a really easy, slick way to solve it. This also works for complex solutions, which we'll get into in the next section. So see how this is, like I said, vertex form, the x minus 1 quantity squared. Students always want to multiply this out, and you don't need to. You're just going to create a whole lot more work for yourself. So let me show you how to do this without multiplying it out, using the square root property. So the first thing we want to do is subtract 1 from each side. So that leaves me with negative 4 times the quantity x minus 1 squared on the left, and I have negative 1 on the right. Now I want to divide both sides by negative 4. Okay, so on the left I'm now left with x minus 1 quantity squared, and on the right, well, negative divided by negative is a positive, so I have 1/4, 1/4 on the right hand side. Now the whole thing on the left hand side is squared, so I am ready, here let me change colors a minute, I am ready to square root both sides. If I square root the left, I have to square root the right. So square rooting a square gets rid of that, so I'm just left with x minus 1 on the left. Now remember, when you square root, remember how you get plus or minus solutions? You get two solutions. So I'm going to have a plus or minus here, and I can go ahead and take the square root of 1. Well, let me write this out for you, just to refresh your memory. I can write this as the square root of 1 over the square root of 4, because I can break up the radical. So simplifying that just a little bit, square root of 1 is 1, the square root of 4 is 2. Alright, now let me carry that over here, pick up where I have a little bit more room. X minus 1, I'm just going to rewrite it at this point. Okay, so I have x minus 1 equals plus or minus 1/2. Well, plus or minus 1/2, these are two different things here. So this is really the same as saying x minus 1 equals positive 1/2 and x minus 1 equals negative 1/2. See how I made two separate equations out of that? Because that's what the plus or minus means. There's two separate values there. So let's go ahead and solve this first one by adding 1 to each side. So I get x equals, let's see, 1/2 times, no, 1/2 plus 1 is 1.5. So I can write that as 1.5 or 3/2. Let's go ahead and add 1 to each side here. So now for this other solution, x equals, well, positive 1 minus a negative 1/2, that's going to give me a 1/2. So there's my two solutions, 3/2, which is the same as 1.5, and 1/2. So there's my two solutions using the square root property. And that ends this example.